Thanks for joining me. 9 killed in ongoing ethnic violence in Manipur. The UNHCR reported 110 million people worldwide displaced. On Ukraine war, top Russian officer killed at Japan military range, 2 killed, 1 injured. An Israeli missile raid aims Damascus in US attack. No less than 9 people have been murdered in the newest clashes between members of rival ethnic groups in India's northeastern state of Manipur. Police said as security forces pressed on with a hunt for illegal weapons. Violence between members of the Kiku ethnic group, who mostly live in the hills, and Métis, the dominant community in the lowlands, broke out on May 3rd, stoked by anger over economic benefits and quotas in government jobs and education reserved for hill people. According to reports, at least 100 people have been killed and over 40,000 displaced since May 3rd in the remote state on the Myanmar border that is governed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP. A senior police official in the state capital of Imphal, K. Shivkanta Sai, said, according to report, that a gun battle between rival factions started on Tuesday and went on for hours in Ingijang village along the border of Kangpoki and Imphal East districts. We have reports of at least 9 deaths and 10 injured so far, Sai said. The situation remains volatile. Federal security force reinforcements have been sent to the state and they have been searching for illegal weapons. According to more reports, a day-long relaxation in a curfew in the area was reduced to 4 hours following the latest violence. Civil society organizations from the Métis and Kuki communities have refused to join a peace committee set up by the federal government to broker peace. On May 3rd, members of the hill tribes, including the Kuki, launched a protest against the possible extension of their benefits to the dominant Métis. This set of people accounts for half of Manipur's population, and extending limits affirmative action quotas to them will mean they will get a share in education and government jobs reserved for Kukis and others. Manipur shares a closely 400 kilometers, 250-mile border with Myanmar, and a coup there in 2021 pushed thousands of refugees into the Indian states. Kukis share ethnic lineage with Myanmar's Chin community, and Métis feared they will be outnumbered by the arrival of the refugees. United Nations refugee chief Filippo Grandi said, according to reports, that the number has since increased to at least 110 million, mostly due to Sudan's 8-week-old conflict. It's quite an indictment on the state of our world to have to report that, he said at a Geneva press conference. The total number includes people seeking safety within their own countries as well as those who have crossed borders. Refugees and asylum seekers made up about 37.5% of the overall, according to the reports. Solutions to this movement are increasingly difficult to even imagine, to even put on the table, he said. We are in a very polarized war where international tensions play out all the way into humanitarian issues. Before the Syria conflict in 2011, there were about 40 million refugees and internally displaced people, a number that had remained stable for about 20 years, according to the agency, but the number has surged each year since. Grandi blamed the unusual package of causes for displacing ever more people: conflict, persecution, discrimination, violence, and climate change. Of the total refugees and those needing international protection, about half of them came from just 3 countries: Syria, Ukraine, and Afghanistan, the report said. 11.6 million Ukrainians remain displaced, it said, including 5.9 million within their country and 5.7 million overseas at the end of 2022. Grandi raised concerns about countries introducing stringent policies and admitting refugees and conducting pushbacks without specifying the countries concerned. Countries in the eastern part of the European Union, such as Poland and Hungary, have refused to take in anyone from the mainland Muslim Middle East and North Africa, while right-wing and populist parties across the bloc have fueled the debate with anti-migration rhetoric. Outside the European Union, the United Kingdom is pushing through new legislation that will stop anyone who arrives in a small boat from across the English Channel from claiming asylum, in an echo of Australia's controversial offshore migration policy. The bill has passed the lower house but has yet to secure the backing of the upper house. We see increasingly a reluctance on the part of states to fully adhere to the principles of the 1951 Refugee Convention, even states that have signed it, Grandi said, according to a report on the sidelines of the briefing. However, he was upbeat about some developments, namely a deal reached by EU ministers last week on sharing responsibility for migrants and refugees. There are issues of some concern. By and large, however, I think it's a positive step, he said. We are so happy that the Europeans agree on something. He also praised Kenya, which he said is looking for fresh solutions for the 500,000 refugees it holds, including many who have fled poverty and drought in the Horn of Africa. The report said 339,300 refugees were able to return home last year, while 114,300 were resettled in a third country, twice the number of 2021. Talking of Russia-Ukraine war, a top Russian officer has been reportedly killed in a Ukrainian missile attack during Kyiv's counter-offensive against Russian forces, a Russian-backed official in Ukraine has said, offering his condolences. On Tuesday, Vladimir Rogov, a Russian-installed official in a part of the southern Zaporizhia region under Moscow's control, said that Russian Major General Sergei Gorachev, Chief of Staff of Russia's 35th Army, have been killed a day earlier on the Zaporizhia front, where Ukrainian forces have been retaking some territory. There was no instant confirmation of the news of Gorachev's death from the Russian Defense Ministry. Goryachev, 52, was a highly decorated officer. During his career, he fought in the Second Chechen War, commanded a tank brigade, oversaw a Russian military base in Tajikistan, and led Russian forces in Moldova's breakaway pro-Russian region of Transnistria, according to reports. It confirmed the death of Gorachev marks the first Russian senior officer killed in Ukraine in almost a year. His death was first reported by Verkhozy, a Russian war correspondent and military blogger. According to Rogov, the army has lost one of its brightest and most effective military commanders who combined the highest professionalism with personal courage. Deepest and most sincere condolences to the family and friends of the deceased. 2 soldiers have been killed and 1 severely injured in a raid by a fellow recruit at a military training range in central Japan. The incident took place at a Japanese Self-Defense Forces facility in the city of Gifu on Wednesday. During a live bullet exercise as part of new personnel training, 1 Self-Defense Forces candidate fired at 3 personnel, the Ground Self-Defense Force GSDF said in a statement. The death of another person has been confirmed of the 3 who were shot at. The GSDF added later, after earlier announcing 1 soldier had died and 2 had been injured. Government spokesman Hirokazu Musuno earlier said the attack occurred at about 9:00 a.m. and a suspect had been detained without giving more details. According to reports, the suspect was a teenage soldier and had fired an automatic weapon. A local police spokesman who spoke on condition of anonymity said the suspect was an 18-year-old candidate recruit who was detained by other soldiers on the spot. The training range is administered by the region's Camp Mariyama and is covered facility of more than 65,000 square meters, about 700,000 square feet. Violent crime and shootings are exceptionally sporadic in Japan, where gun ownership is tightly regulated, but a number of high-profile recent incidents have raised concern. Former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe in July 2022 was shot on the campaign trail and later died. The man who attacked Abe did not sow over his alleged links to the Unification Church. And in April, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida escaped unharmed after a man threw an explosive device towards him at a campaign event. Security has been tightened in the wake of the incidents, with thousands of police deployed for May's Group of 7 G7 summit in Hiroshima. Police also apprehended a man accused of killing 4 people, including 2 police officers, in a knife and gun attack in rural Nagano, west of Tokyo, last month. An Israeli air attack on Syria's capital, Damascus, has left 1 Syrian soldier with serious injuries and caused some material damage, reports say. Syrian air defenses engaged Israel missiles that were launched at 1:00 a.m. on Wednesday morning from the Golan Heights and shot down some of them, according to a military source. The military source did not provide details on the targets of the attack, saying only that the attack severely wounded a soldier and caused material damage. The United Kingdom-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a monitor that relies on a vast network of sources on the ground in Syria, said the Israeli missile attack was aimed at arms depots belonging to pro-Iran fighters and caused a fire. In the 12 months up to April, Israeli attacks on Syria had killed at least 44 people and injured over 50. Israel has for years carried out hundreds of attacks against what it has described as Iran-linked targets in Syria. Though Israel rarely comments on its attacks inside Syria, it has repeatedly said it would not allow Iran to extend its military influence into Syrian territory. On more stories, judge lets Carroll go on with defamation suit against Trump. A United States federal judge has said that writer Eugene Carroll can move forward with the defamation lawsuit against ex-President Donald Trump after a jury in May found the Republican leader liable for defaming and sexually abusing her. On Tuesday, U.S. District Judge Louis Kampler in Manhattan ruled in favor of Carroll, discharging arguments that the case could not proceed because the jury determined Trump was responsible for sexual abuse, not rape. We look forward to moving ahead expeditiously on Eugene Carroll's remaining claims, her lawyer Roberta Kaplan said on Tuesday. The judge's verdict is the newest in a long string of legal setbacks for the former president, who remains mired in scandals and probes as he seeks the Republican Party's nomination for the 2024 presidential election. Yesterday, Trump also appeared in a courtroom in Miami, Florida, to enter a not guilty plea in a federal case over his handling of classified documents after leaving office. Prosecutors in that case have accused Trump of hoarding sensitive records and refusing to hand them over when asked. Carroll, meanwhile, has pursued 2 civil suits against Trump, both stemming from allegations he raped her in a department store dressing room in the 1990s. In African Saints, Cameroon's veteran opposition leader dies. Cameroonians are reacting to the death of John Fru Ndi, the historic opponent of President Paul Biya, in distraught and in mourning. The leader and founder of the Social Democratic Front, SDF, the major opposition party in parliament, died Monday at the age of 81 after a long illness. Fru Ndi challenged Biya in the presidential elections of 1992, 2004 and 2011, coming second each time. Marcel Taggio, chairman of the Douala 5 SDF electoral constituency, said, according to report, that Ni Jun Fru Ndi for the SDF Social Democratic Front notes was the guide that this is to say the man who traced the furrow along which we walk, the man who against all odds imposed the return to a multi-party system in Cameroon on 26 May 1990, and with each a set of individual and collective freedoms granted to the entire Cameroonian people. Fru Ndi started his political career in the 1980s as a member of Biya's RDPC. He founded the SDF in 1990 when Cameroon formally ended one-party rule. Today, his SDF has only 5 seats in the present parliament. It held 18 in the former legislature but lost influence to the all-powerful Cameroonian People's Democratic Movement, RDPC, led by 90-year-old Biya, who has ruled Cameroon since 1982. He was born in 1941 in Babatu near Bamenda in the northwest. Then, under British mandate, the primarily English-speaking northwest and southwest regions became part of Cameroon in 1961, a year after the French-speaking regions gained independence from Paris. They have been plagued by conflicts between the army and separatists since the latter declared independence in 2017 after decades of grievances over perceived discrimination by the country's French-speaking majority. Biya has resisted calls for wider autonomy and responded with a brutal crackdown, while Fru Ndi advocated a federal solution rather than out of independence. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll bring you more stories. You're welcome back. We begin with NAS leadership. Akpabio Abbas emerged as 10th NAS leaders. In style yesterday, after several months of political intrigues, permutations and drama, the 4 candidates nominated by the ruling All Progressives Congress APC for Senate and House of Representatives leader won their elections. The 4 nominated candidates are Senate President Godswill Akpabio, Deputy Senate President Jibril Barrow, House of Representatives Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu. While Barrow and Kalu emerged unopposed, Akpabio triumphed after a tight battle, and Abbas recorded a landslide victory over his two opponents. In the Senate, where all the 109 senators took part, Akpabio, an ex-governor of Akwa Ibom State and one-time Senate Minority Leader, polled 63 votes to defeat former governor of Zamfara State, Senator Abdulaziz Yari, APC Zamfara West, who polled 46 votes. In the House of Representatives, it was smooth sailing for Abbas as 353 of the 359 lawmakers gave him their votes. His challengers, Idris Wase and Aminu Jaji, polled 3 votes each. President Bola Tinubu, while congratulating Akpabio and Abbas on their election, he told the new leadership of the 10th National Assembly that Nigerians want the lawmakers to leave their economic burden. Tinubu urged the National Assembly to work with him to deliver the dividends of democracy, adding that now that elections are over, it is time to get on with the business of governance to justify the mandate given to them. And finally, on the news, Akeredolu transmits power to deputy. Yesterday, Rotimi Akeredolu, the Ondo State governor, began on 21-day medical leave and handed over power to his deputy, Honorable Lucky Orimisan Ayedetiwa. Akeredolu stated this in a letter to Ondo State House of Assembly. Rumor of ill health had trailed the governor for some weeks. There have been calls from opposition parties and civil society in the state on the need for the governor to transfer power to his deputy to act on his behalf for the smooth running of governments in the state. However, the Ondo State House of Assembly, upon receipt of the governor's letter, approved his medical leave. Right Honorable Oladiji, Speaker of the House, who revealed this in Akure, the state capital, explained that the governor embarked on a 21-day leave for medical treatment abroad, starting from the 7th of June 2023 to the 6th of July 2023. According to the letter, which started on the 7th of June, extends to the 6th of July 2023 due to the public holidays on June 12th, Democracy Day, and Eid-el-Kabir 28th and 29 June 2023. The governor, who had directed his deputy, Honorable Lucky Orimisan, to act as the governor while away, has assured of his resumption on the 6th of July 2023. The speaker, who described the governor as a lover of peace and an apostle of the rule of law, wished him a speedy recovery and a joyful vacation. A recap of major stories says 9 killed in ongoing ethnic violence in Manipur. UNHCR says 110 million people worldwide displaced. On Ukraine war, top Russian officer killed. At Japan military range, 2 killed, 1 injured. And Israel missile raid aims Damascus in US attack. Thanks for watching. I am Lois Drake. Enjoy the rest of your day.